What's up guys, welcome back to another reaction video. Today's reaction video is going to be there will never ever be another driver like Dale Earnhardt. Now this is going to make a lot of you guys happy because a lot of people have suggested it, especially Dirty Dan. I think on my last 3 Nascar videos he said, you promised man, you've got to get it out. And I did promise and I am getting it out. I'm going to do it in 3 parts because it's a 54-minute video guys. Probably 20, 15, or let's just see if there's any good stopping points between the 15 and 20 mark on this first episode, and we'll go from there. I'll put the comments on screen to the people who has suggested it now. I appreciate for all the suggestions. I know quite a lot about Dale Earnhardt. We did the day, we did 3 before February, and you guys have given me a boatload of information about him. Fantastic driver, tragically died on the track in the Daytona 500 in 2001. Luckily there's been no other deaths since then, which is absolutely amazing in at least the NASCAR main series. Some people said, I think unfortunately there's been an ARCA death and stuff like that, but I don't really know too much about them ones. But Dale Earnhardt apparently was an absolutely amazing driver, the favourite of basically any household. If you supported NASCAR and enjoyed NASCAR, you like Dale Earnhardt from what I've been told. So let's get straight into this reaction guys. Hit that like button, I'd really appreciate it. Let's try and hit 100 likes on a NASCAR video. Hit that subscribe button if you're new around it, I would seriously appreciate it. And let's see why there will never be another driver like Dale Earnhardt.
In the last episode of this series, I talked about the appeal of professional wrestling, a form of entertainment that disguises itself as a sport.
Yep.
In this episode, I'm going to talk about NASCAR,
okay,
a sport which tries to disguise itself as entertaining. Today,
NASCAR's
Monster Energy Cup Series tours around the country racing in front of mostly empty arenas as sponsorships and television ratings continue to wane. At least with professional wrestling, while not many fans enjoy it anymore, there's still at least a small nucleus of people that still care about it.
Yeah, I feel like WWE has kind of died off. I'm just seeing when this video was made. This video was made in 2019. So, is NASCAR still in that state now? Let me know in the comments, guys, because that's shade thrown at him straight away.
It's nearly impossible to find anyone these days who actually cares about NASCAR.
Hold on, I'm going to give my best NASCAR noise impression.
Most people upon hearing the name
Paul,
NASCAR immediately think of a dumb sport where dumb rednecks watch cars go around in circles.
Wow.
But I'm here to tell you that's wrong. The cars actually go around in ovals. In all seriousness though, it ain't easy being a NASCAR fan. It ain't easy having to constantly justify to people why you like something that's about as popular as licorice.
That makes sense.
There was once a time when many more people liked NASCAR, but that time has long since passed. The vacuous boredom often associated with the sport today has paradoxically created intrigue for reasons why anyone would even like it in the first place. Trying to convince anybody to actually care about NASCAR is a pretty tall order, but that won't stop me from trying. Because there's one driver in the sport's turbulent history that truly embodies all of the reasons why NASCAR was, at one time, the second most popular sport in America.
Wow.
This is the story of Dale Earnhardt.
I'm very keen for this one, but you guys are persuading me into NASCAR. I suppose I'm very open-minded and I kind of like all sports. I'm sports mad. So you guys introduce me to a sport, I'll understand why people like it, and there's 99% chance I'll like it. That's me. And I am really enjoying NASCAR. Let me know in the comments if you don't like it and you're watching this video. I don't know why you're watching it if you don't. Let me know why you don't like it. Don't give me the whole just going circle, because again, it's skillful, it's dangerous, and you've got to respect that. Now, Dale Earnhardt, what we got? Is this 70 like Texas or somewhere like that?
Many of my viewers like to draw comparisons between me and a writer by the name of John Boyes, and it's a pretty fair comparison, considering John Boyes is one of my biggest inspirations as a creator today.
Oh wow.
Last Halloween, John wrote a short story about a pitcher who sells his soul to Satan and falls away from the earth in the middle of a baseball game. While this story is clearly a work of fiction, it is eerily comparable to the real life and death of Dale Earnhardt.
Oh wow.
Our story begins in the rural American town of Kannapolis, North Carolina. Sometime in the late 1960s, a young Dale Earnhardt drops out of high school and uses what little money he has to start competing at locally sanctioned dirt track.
Yeah, he looks so different there. So different to what I pictured him. Like, so different.
Earnhardt most likely shares the same lofty, unobtainable pipe dream as all of his competitors, to work his way up the ranks and eventually race in the top series of NASCAR.
Yeah.
NASCAR, like Dale Earnhardt, had its origins in the rural American South. The roots of the sport can be traced back to the Prohibition era, where moonshiners, attempting to smuggle barrelfuls of illegal whiskey, would tune up their cars to be able to outrun police.
Love that,
When
man.
Prohibition ended in the 1930s, the smugglers were left with nothing to do but race each other. Small, unsanctioned races began to take place all across the South, but perhaps no other place became a more popular racing destination than Daytona Beach, Florida. The beaches of Daytona feature finely grained sand that forms a hard, compact surface ideal for auto racing.
Awesome.
In the early 20th century, automotive engineers would use the beaches of Daytona to try to break the land speed record. Eventually, record attempts would migrate to the salt flats of Bonneville, Utah, leaving Daytona open for a new frontier of stock car racing.
NASCAR.
Stock car racing differs greatly from other racing series such as IndyCar or Formula One. These types of open-wheel racing feature expertly crafted machines specifically designed to maximize speed and handling.
Yeah.
While open-wheel machines require an impressive degree of skill and finesse to operate, their design also leaves them very fragile, rendering them virtually unable to contact each other on the track.
Yeah, a little bit of contact, boom, the car's ruined. Or you're going up in the air. I do like the whole rubbing and the bumping in NASCAR. It gives a bit more of a different appeal to it. I do like that.
Even a slight tap can produce a scrapyard of wrecked race cars. Because of this, open-wheel racers rarely ever touch, resulting in very clean and fluid racing. Stock cars are pretty much the complete opposite. It essentially asks the question of, what would happen if you bought a car from the dealership and started racing it? Naturally, consumer-grade cars are much more bulky and less aerodynamically dependent than their open-wheel counterparts. This allows stock cars to take much more of a beating while still remaining competitive, leading to a style of racing that is slower but much more durable and contact-heavy. It's a style of racing that started to become wildly popular in the American South. And perhaps no other man was more responsible for the rise of American stock car racing than Bill France.
I thought we were going to go Dale
Bill
Earnhardt.
France was a fan of stock car racing since the days of his youth in the roaring 20s, where he would skip school to drive laps in his parents' Model T. When the Great Depression struck, Big Bill would flee to Daytona with less than $100 to his name.
We have heard a lot of this information because we have done the 8 ways, the 8 things you didn't know about NASCAR, and a few similar videos along the lines of that. So I'll gloss over it a little bit, but it's nice to see different interpretations of the history of it. It's very nice to see because you get a whole idea, an array of how people believe it started and their opinions on it, which is great.
But he was able to stay afloat by racing cars on the beach. Eventually, Bill France would transition from race driver to race promoter, and on February 21, 1948, he revolutionized American motorsports by founding the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing,
NASCAR.
Before NASCAR, stock car racing mostly featured scattered and disorganized events with inconsistent rules. With no major governing body to sanction races, there was nothing stopping some promoters from just not paying drivers the winnings they were owed.
Oh,
NASCAR
wow.
changed all of this by organizing a unified schedule of racing events, complete with a singular rule set, championship point system, and guaranteed driver winnings.
Nice.
NASCAR truly became the first legitimate stock car racing league in America, and all of a sudden, the allure of earning fame and fortune through a life of racing began to attract drivers from far and wide. One of these drivers was a young Ralph Earnhardt, who in 1953 started racing full-time in NASCAR's Sportsman Series. Ralph Earnhardt's talent on quarter-mile dirt tracks made him a regional racing star in the Carolinas, and even won him the Sportsman Series championship in 1956. And even though he would use his racing talent to single-handedly lift himself out of poverty, he surprisingly didn't wish the same destiny upon his son, Dale Earnhardt.
Wow, it may have been mentioned before, but I can't remember if it has. I did not realise his dad was basically doing the sport and winning years and years before Dale was. I never knew that. I knew obviously Dale has Dale Earnhardt Jr. I never knew Ralph had Dale. Wow, man, that's amazing. We're learning. I like it.
Both Ralph and Dale grew up in Kannapolis, North Carolina, a town so rural that it wasn't even incorporated until 1984. Before that, almost everyone born into this place had no way out. Only Ralph Earnhardt's racing talent could save him from a lifelong career at the local cotton mill.
Wow.
Dale Earnhardt saw his father as his greatest inspiration, and he saw racing as his only real ticket to success. Ralph Earnhardt didn't want his son to race, despite his own talent in the sport. Talent is a very rare thing.
Yep.
If everyone were talented, no one would be. Ralph Earnhardt probably knew this, and if he had his way, Dale Earnhardt would have quit racing to graduate high school and get a nice desk job in the big city. He probably never expected his son to become one of the greatest drivers ever. He never lived to see it either. Just 20 years after he began racing full-time, Ralph Earnhardt died of a heart attack.
Oh, that's
Dale
a shame,
Earnhardt
man.
could have followed his father's wishes, and if he did, he'd probably still be around today. But instead, he chose to follow in his father's footsteps. And in trying to prove to his late father that he belonged in a race car, Dale Earnhardt would accidentally become one of the best in the world.
That's
Just 6
awesome,
years
though, at
later,
least.
he found himself at the crossroads of history.
That's awesome because it feels like he's doing it for his dad. That is awesome. It's just a shame about his dad. Let me know, was it the heart attack in a race car? I don't think it was, by the sounds of it. Just one of them things which is absolutely heartbreaking. And you never want, especially for Dale as well. That must be absolutely horrible. And the whole family around him. But fair play for him, stepping into his father's shoes. I'm going to do his racing for him, and I'm going to become the best. Accidentally, he said, but we'll see. Awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Covering a city block a second in rush hour traffic. Take a look at that. Earnhardt blazes back
79.
into the front of his group. Here's Earnhardt, your leader, out of turn 4.
Even at the very beginning of Dale Earnhardt's rookie season in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, his talent was undeniable. For a moment, he found himself leading the 21st annual Daytona 500,
He didn't win it though.
which may have been the most important race in the history of NASCAR. Daytona International Speedway is quite possibly the greatest arena ever constructed by man. The scale of this place is difficult to describe, but let's just say it's big enough to be sunny on one end and stormy on the other.
That's incredible.
This modern-day Coliseum is the fruit of one of the most ambitious engineering projects of the 20th century, conceived from the outrageous imagination of none other than Bill France. After 20 years of watching sloppy races on the beach, Bill France sought to construct a racetrack where drivers would never have to let off the throttle. The result was a 2.5-mile-long tri-oval surrounded by a 31-degree embankment. The
Wow.
sheer size of these corners is downright intimidating. It looks like you'd have a hard time walking up them, let alone driving on them. The mere architecture of this place boggles the mind today, so you could only imagine the amazement of the 42,000 spectators who witnessed the inaugural running of the Daytona 500. The pure spectacle of almost 60 stock cars barreling around an asphalt bowl at 135 miles per hour was something that no one had ever seen before. And after an unforgettable photo finish, the Daytona 500 immediately established itself as the most prestigious event on the NASCAR schedule.
Well, what a way to start with a photo finish. That's definitely going to get people's intrigue. And yeah, what an absolute track. It's got a lake in the middle, for God's sake. It's got a lake. It's insane. And it's weird as well, but like, I've seen the Daytona 500. We did our watch along. But when you get the close-ups of the actual banking, you don't realise how steep it actually is and what angle it's at until you see the close-up angles. When you're watching it live on TV, you just see the cars going round and round. And it doesn't look too steep. Which when you get the close-ups, it's like, wow, that is steep, man.
For every stock car driver in America, a win at Daytona is the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. At the time of its opening in 1959, Daytona International Speedway was the largest track of its kind. 10 years later, Bill France would build an even bigger one in Talladega, Alabama.
Okay.
And while Talladega Superspeedway would also go on to be very popular with
Not
fans,
as good as the
it
Daytona.
would not displace the Daytona 500 as NASCAR's crown jewel event. And that's why in 1979, CBS elected to broadcast the full race live in front of a national audience. It would be
Awesome.
the first live broadcast of an entire 500-mile motorsports event in the history of American television. NASCAR found itself in a perfect storm of circumstances, quite literally, as on the day of the race, a blizzard left most of the eastern US stuck indoors with nothing to do but watch the Daytona 500.
That's
An
perfect.
estimated 15 million viewers tuned into this race.
15 million. That's
And for a
insane.
brief moment, some of them got to see an unknown driver by the name of Dale Earnhardt leading the race. While his father
Incredible.
dominated on short tracks, Dale Earnhardt would find his greatest success on the big ones, even though they would also provide him with his greatest turmoil. He didn't know it at the time, nor did anybody else watching, but Dale Earnhardt was cursed. This is the story of a person and a place, a racer's relationship with a racetrack. This was merely the first chapter of Dale versus Daytona. Earnhardt would go on to finish 8th out of 41 drivers in this race. Not bad for his very first attempt at
Not bad
NASCAR's
at all,
most
man.
coveted prize. Dale Earnhardt's rookie effort would be reduced to an afterthought, however, as everyone's attention was instead drawn to perhaps the greatest finish in the history of NASCAR.
It's all come down to this. Out of turn 2, Donnie Allison in first. Where will Cale make his move? He comes to the inside. Donnie Allison throws the block. Cale hits him. He slides. Donnie Allison slides.
Oh my God.
They drive in the turn. They're hitting the wall. They're head on the wall. Coming down. Richard Petty is now pulling out in front. Darrell Waltrip is in second. A.J. Boyd is in third. Here they come. Waltrip trying a slingshot. Petty is out in front at the line. Waltrip.
Awesome.
And here comes a $60,000 car becoming a 22-passenger school bus to bring his crew to victory lane.
That's awesome.
Between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison, the tempers overflowing. They're angry. They know they have lost. And what a bitter defeat.
In just a matter of minutes, the television audience got to experience dramatic racing, a crash, an unforgettable last lap pass, NASCAR's most iconic driver setting an unbreakable record, and a bare-knuckle fistfight, all on live TV.
What a way to end it. You can't ask for a better finish than that. In front of 15 million people. Maybe not 15 million at the end, but still, that's insane.
All of a sudden, the colloquial regional sport of NASCAR found itself with a national audience.
Yeah.
The finish made it all the way to the front page of the New York Times sports section, and NASCAR would never be the same. The 1979 season saw Dale Earnhardt capture his first career win in just his 16th start. He would win the Rookie of the Year award for that season and go on to finish 7th in the overall standings in a year where Richard Petty won his 7th and final Winston Cup championship. At this point in time, Richard Petty is unanimously regarded as the greatest driver in the history of the sport. Looking at it today, his career statistics seem almost mythical. Petty's 200 career victories are almost double the next driver on NASCAR's all-time win list, and his 7 series championships were, at the time, more than double any other driver. After the 1979 season, the mere notion of any other driver challenging Petty's throne as the greatest of all time was laughable, but if anyone were to do it, it would have to be a driver the likes of
Dale
which no one had
Earnhardt,
ever seen.
Where Dale Earnhardt in car number 2 is currently the leader, and he is on his way to victory and hopefully to pick up some additional points as he is on his way in his sophomore year to a national championship.
In 1980, Dale Earnhardt shocked everyone by winning the Winston Cup Series championship in just his second full-time
That's incredible.
season. Only the 15th different driver to achieve the title of NASCAR champion. Already in his young career, Dale Earnhardt had joined some elite company, but he would soon learn that even when you're great, you're still a long way from the best. Although he began with one of the greatest starts to any career in NASCAR history, Earnhardt's car owner Rod Osterlund would unexpectedly sell his race team midway through the 1981 season. Earnhardt reacted poorly to this transition and struggled for the next few seasons while bouncing from owner to owner. After going winless in 1981, Dale Earnhardt had the worst statistical season of his career the following season, finishing the 1982 campaign with an abysmal average finish of 19th, while failing to finish more than half of his races for the year. After such a promising beginning, Earnhardt's Winston Cup career had slammed straight into a concrete wall.
Wow, that is something I never knew. Started off perfect for second year. That's incredible, by the way. Winning a Cup Series is just incredible. In the second year is incredible. Doing it in any sport in your second year would be incredible, whether you win in the F1 championship. That doesn't happen, man. In your second year, you're meant to still be learning the ropes. You're meant to be behind. Yeah, you might get a lucky finish towards the front. That's incredible. I never realised, because obviously he was in the 2 car there, and he is known for the 3, isn't he? So eventually he picks up when he gets in a 3 car, I'm imagining. So he jumped around. Never knew that. I am learning. I'm really enjoying this, guys. I hope you're enjoying it as well. I haven't talked too much because I am really enjoying it.
Sometimes it's bad when you do that in a hot car. Oh, we've got trouble in turn 1. Look at that 2 automobile. That's Dale Earnhardt in the Wrangler Jeans machine.
One of Earnhardt's 18 DNFs for the season resulted from a violent crash at Pocono that sent his number 15 Ford skidding on its roof down the embankment of the first corner. The accident would fracture his kneecap, but it wouldn't stop the scrappy Earnhardt from racing the very next week at Talladega, where he would suffer another hard crash. This was surely the most trying time of Earnhardt's racing career. Many at this time began to wonder whether Earnhardt's 1980 championship was just a fluke. But Dale Earnhardt was not like the other drivers. He wasn't racing for the fame or the fortune. He was racing to prove that he belonged. He was racing to prove himself to his late father, and when a man is dead set on accomplishing an impossible task, he will never stop chasing it.
I love
When
that.
faced
I
with
absolutely
the
love
lowest
that.
moment of his career, Dale Earnhardt did what he always did. He waited for an opportunity and pushed forward.
Fuck you, buddy. Earnhardt going to turn 3 at 200 miles an hour. Winds it up. Fires it in there. A brilliant maneuver by Earnhardt. The checkered flag belongs today to Dale Earnhardt.
Nice.
Stock car racing's all-time winner.
Wait, was that after these ads? Was that after these ads?
Earnhardt, the
And by the
checkered
way,
flag belongs today to Dale Earnhardt.
I think he's in the number 3 car. I think I saw him in the number 3 car then. After these messages, okay. Okay, guys, there were quite a few weird ads in there. There were a Gillette ad, there was a few sponsorship things as well. So I've skipped ahead because I was a bit confused, to be honest with you. If you want to check out them sponsorship stuff and all that, I recommend the link will be in the description, guys, for this video. Skip to about 15 minutes in and you can watch them. Now let's carry on with There'll Never Ever Be Another Driver Like Dale Earnhardt.
So that's the story of the 1984 Talladega 500. This man, Dale Earnhardt, is successful.
In 1984, Dale Earnhardt found himself with a new owner, Richard Childress, and a new car number,
Number 3.
He would stick with both of them for the rest of his career. Under Childress, Earnhardt's career would immediately begin to rebound, and it would mark the beginning of his finest era. By 1986, Earnhardt would be champion once more, becoming just the 11th driver in history to win multiple NASCAR championships. In
Gonna win more than that.
1987, he had the best statistical season of his career, finishing the year with 11 wins and his 3rd Cup championship. And after this dominant season, Earnhardt would return in black, embracing his new role as the Intimidator.
That's the car we remember today, or at least the car I know about. You guys may remember his earlier cars. I remember that one. It's what I've seen. He keeps it for a very long time. I mean, Intimidator is a nickname I know him as. Awesome.
Now would probably be a good time to explain what exactly made Dale Earnhardt such a potent racer. Well, Dale Earnhardt first learned his racing style from watching his father slide around on dirt tracks, and
Yeah.
he never really unlearned it. Remember earlier how I mentioned that the durability of stock cars allows them to more easily bump into each other? Well, Dale Earnhardt would take this idea and turn his vehicle into a weapon. Earnhardt would make frequent use of the bump and run, a racing tactic where a driver uses the inertia of their own car to move other drivers out of the way and advance their position. It's a maneuver that's practically unheard of in open wheel racing because it's really only possible in a series like NASCAR.
Yeah.
Even within NASCAR, the bump and run is still a highly controversial move. Racing purists consider it a dirty tactic, as it detracts from the skill of outlining your competitors. Other fans view it as a valid and necessary part of stock car racing, considering it's a viable strategy that's not against the rules. Your outlook of this issue most likely determined whether or not you were a fan of Dale Earnhardt, as his frequent use of the bump and run quickly made him one of the most polarizing drivers in NASCAR, and his notoriety would only grow as he became one of the most dominant drivers in the sport. For many drivers, nothing was scarier than seeing Dale Earnhardt in your rearview mirror. If you saw the number 3 Chevy behind you, you would either get out of his way, or he would make you get out of his way.
Wow.
For many years, Earnhardt was NASCAR's greatest heel.
It's not fair, and they try to race nice and clean. And
You know, the thing of it is, you go out and you run as hard as you can all day long, and then him trying to cut you out to outrun it, that ain't the way I was brought up, buddy.
I guess what they were insinuating, don't go run into Dale Earnhardt.
If you weren't an Earnhardt fan, it was probably very easy to hate him, because there was a good chance you could recall a time when he wrecked your favorite driver. Despite Earnhardt's tendency to enforce his will upon other drivers on the track, he certainly had his fair share of supporters.
Definitely,
Dale Earnhardt
yeah.
raced in real life how anybody races the first time they pick up a NASCAR video game. The other drivers were just
Bang into
obstacles
each
separating
other.
him from first place. Many fans found Earnhardt's cavalier style endearing and relatable. He would struggle and claw for every single position, much like how many fans in the poor American South had to struggle for every paycheck. Who
I love
cares if he
that.
bangs up some other cars? He's just trying to win like the rest of them.
I love that. We will leave it here, by the way. We'll leave it here because it's 20 minutes in. I could have really left it at the ad break, but I haven't. We continued a little bit. I hope you've enjoyed this part, but yeah, I love that ending there as well, saying that people obviously struggling from paycheck to paycheck, and it was like he was struggling to get the next position. He was fighting his arse off just to get the next position. He'll do whatever he can. He'll bump, he'll work hard, and make it his. He's like the people's champ, you know? It reminds me of that. I don't think they call him that, but definitely don't. I think that's a WWE thing I've heard, the people's champ. But I absolutely love it, and I can see why a lot of people liked him. I like that style of racing as well, you know, bumping, a little bit of hitting. I think it's what separates NASCAR from the other sports as well, that little bit of contact and rubbing, because it's something if you're, at least if you're European and you haven't seen much NASCAR before like me, when you see it, it's like, wow, that is different. And you enjoy it. And I mean, I enjoy any sport anyway, but it definitely is different. I'm really enjoying this one, guys. Let me know in the comments if you want to see part 2 and 3 and when you want to see it. Probably be in 48-hour intervals, guys. I'm really enjoying this one. I'm going to do the rest of the reaction now. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.